Hi, I'm Kelli Ritter, and today I'm visiting with my friend and colleague, Kim Watersrose, who is in private practice, and we're going to talk all things wellness. Kim and I both have taught the wellness class that I developed at Argosy University, so we have lots of things in common. But I'm really interested in you talking about how you stay well and how you incorporate wellness into your private practice and anything you want to tell us. But
okay.
Thank you for being here.
Sure. I am so glad you asked.
Mm-hmm.
Wellness hasn't always been a part of my life. And I've been in practice for 20 years, and I probably didn't really grasp how important self-care was right away. It took a little bit of burning out.
Yeah.
To figure that out.
Yeah.
And once I did, I was like, okay, I can't go back. So I have a really good program for myself now. So I guess we can start with my diet.
Sure. Wherever you want to start.
So I did clean up my diet probably about 7 years ago. But I guess we can back up a little bit. Working out is a big part of how I stay mentally balanced. Most days of the week I leave here and go straight to the gym. And I don't just work out, I have a group of women. And so we are accountable to each other, and they are not counselors, but we're all about the same age. We all have stressful jobs. So I leave here, I spend about 45 minutes at the gym. It gives my brain time to process, and they have learned if I'm quiet, I need to just be quiet. Some days we chat more than the others, but by the time I leave there, I am ready to go home and be with my family, and I don't feel the pressure of my caseload at that point.
Right, which is huge for the work that we do.
Right. I work that out. Sometimes we just walk in the spring and summer and the fall when the weather permits. We walk certain days of the week, and we find that we talk more, and it just feels different than a weight workout or something like that. So we miss it. Like right now, we're really missing it because of the weather, but it just gives us a different kind of stress relief.
Yes.
So that's a huge thing for me. I can't live without it. I guess my brain now is, on it. So if I miss, like over the holidays, I miss a little bit, it doesn't really work too well for me. So that's a big thing. Sleep is a big thing too. I need to operate on 7 to 8 hours of sleep, so I really strive to get that. And staying socially connected. Not just with family, but my girlfriends, and we have girls' night out. We just go do things we enjoy together. I think it gets me out of here, gets me out of my head, out of my caseload, and we can just download.
Right.
So, and then at work, it's easy to, especially in private practice, it's so easy to just be here and not go to lunch or do breakfast before you come here, things like that. So I make it a point to leave my office and, at least an hour during the day.
Okay.
And if that just means I go to Starbucks or I go to Walmart, walk around, or meet somebody for lunch, it doesn't matter. I just get out of this room. So that's a big part. And then my diet.
Nutrition is.
Yeah, that became a big thing for me about 8 years ago. I struggled with headaches a lot. I struggled with digestive issues a lot.
Me too. Yeah.
And I had just thought it was a fact of life.
Right.
And a colleague recommended a practitioner, an alternative practitioner I went to see. And the first thing they said was, you need to stop gluten. It's like, what is that? What are we? And then sugars.
Yep.
So I did painfully, and then I thought I could go back because I thought,
of course.
That didn't work out so well.
Okay.
So I really try to eat lean, green, clean.
Yep.
No more headaches.
Right.
No more digestive issues, or very few. If I get gluten,
Yeah. You can tell pretty quickly.
It does. So, and you know that does contribute to how I am in here.
Yes.
Because when I don't eat well, or if I get sugar and too much sugar, I have a hard time, being focused and staying with my clients. It really impacts that, and I just really didn't realize how much it impacted it.
Yeah.
Until I cleaned up my diet.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we can operate. We can function and think that we're doing pretty well, and then when you clean it all up, you think, "Oh, this is being present. This is being clear."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there was a level of fatigue that I always had.
Yeah.
Until I cleaned up my diet.
Kind of that fog.
Yes. Very
sluggish kind of.
Very much so.
I know that. I know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, if any of that gets out of balance, or if I'm not doing it as much as I need to be, then I can tell.
Yeah.
Really quickly. So.
Yeah, and the kind of work that you do. So I thought maybe we'd talk a little bit about the clients and I think the self-care is really important. You and I both agree that you can only take a client or anybody help them on a journey to wellness as far as you've been on your own.
Yes.
And so that's why we consistently keep up with our wellness journey, and it changes.
Yes, it does.
Things evolve, and there is so much to know. And what I really believe is important is figuring out what resonates with you.
Absolutely.
Because you and I can agree that this is a healthy food, and it can, act like poison in me and medicine in you, and is a healthy food. So really, a lot of people say to me, well, what do you eat? Well, I eat what works for my body.
Right.
So taking the time to figure all that out. So how does that end up in coming into the work that you do?
Well, I think, like you said, we can only take a client where we've been.
Yes.
Just emotionally as well as this. And so my initial work was in breath work.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started that journey about the same time that I graduated grad school. So breathing to the kind of breath work I was doing was used to evoke emotion, to release and let go. So I incorporated that into work with my clients, and they would see the benefit. I'd start slow and they'd see the benefit of it. And of course I did that work intensely for probably 10 years. And then as things with me changed, I started branching out. So, of course there's chiropractic and massage. Those are pretty common. But I had some pain that no one could seem to figure out. So I went to the acupuncturist right next door.
Right.
And she's phenomenal, and it worked. And I took tinctures that she prescribed, and my pain went away. In 3 sessions I was pain-free, and that particular pain has never returned either.
Right.
So that said to me, okay, this stuff, there's validity here, there's credibility, this stuff works. We just got to figure out what. So initially I was a little overwhelmed when I started, because there's Reiki, and there's not just massage. There's so many different types of
cranial
massage.
sacral.
Yes.
And
yes.
All kinds of different modalities. Yes.
Then I had a car accident, and I discovered cranial sacral. And again, that was phenomenal. Doing more research on that. But then, like I said, 8 years ago, when I really dug in for myself, it was very overwhelming. The whole diet thing
is overwhelming.
Was really overwhelming. But I was also introduced to different types of chiropractic. I was also introduced to muscle testing.
Yes.
And essential oils came into play as well.
Yes.
So I feel like now my toolbox is pretty hefty.
Yes.
And I have a lot of different tools, but not all of. I don't use them all of them all the time.
Right.
And I don't particularly care for some of the modalities.
You're right.
And just like foods, I don't care for some that are probably like beets. People tell me how wonderful they are. I hate beets.
So I'm just not going to do them.
Yeah. No, I'm just not going to ever. Right. So I think me taking it slowly. Mm-hmm. And understanding this particular thing for me mm-hmm. has helped me be able to teach my clients. Mm-hmm. I'm a very firm believer in tackling one thing at a time. I don't like the massive overhauls. I don't think they work because they're too big and they are too overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It's like when my person said, cut out gluten and sugar and caffeine and this, and I was like, whoa, and so finally she said, okay, what are you most comfortable with? And I said, can I just start with the gluten right now? And so we did that. And then after a few weeks of that, I then stopped sugars, but the sugar was bad. Yeah. It was hard. It is. But then it branches off into so many of these different areas.
Right. But then you're cleaner and clearer mm-hmm. and it opens you up to some other things.
Yes.
And I think that's important with clients, wherever it resonates to start, yes. It doesn't really matter because it's all connected mm-hmm. anyway. Mm-hmm. So wherever they feel like, oh, I think I could do this one thing, mm-hmm. it's great. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree. And then the oils seem to be mm-hmm. a very easy thing for people to latch on to. Mm-hmm. I try to steer them in the direction of organic.
Yes.
And teach them the why that's necessary. Right. There's lots of pretty stuff out there, but we really need to be careful about what we inhale, just like we're careful about what we eat.
Right.
And digest too.
Right. Diet includes what you watch, what you smell, what you taste, what you see.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that you bring up another good point. I think a lot of times I've seen a lot of anxiety. I've seen a huge increase in anxiety in my clients.
Yes.
First thing I say is, so what's on your radio?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's talk radio, mm-hmm. What TV station is on in your home? Mm-hmm. And it's usually a news channel. Okay, no. Does it stay on all the time? Well, yeah, but I'm not watching it. It doesn't matter. It's going in and it affects everything. Like you said, because I think we have to surround ourselves with positivity, mm-hmm. and we have to. Energy is another another thing that we have to look at. And are people sucking us dry with mm-hmm. with their energy? They're zapping ours, and even TV shows that are violent.
Right.
And again, if they're going on in the background, it goes in. Mm-hmm. And there's certain kinds of music, if I hear it, it's like it overstimulates me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I gotta either move out of this where I am or turn the station or something. So.
Yeah.
But I think with my clients, I try to go slowly with them, mm-hmm. see what they're willing mm-hmm. to do. And start slow. And like I said, oils are usually very easy. In fact, this little batch of oils, my client brought, one of my clients who knows I'm into them, and he got into them, he brought these for everybody to try their little roll-ons. Mm-hmm. And it's great because he's seeing improvement in his life by using the oils. Mm-hmm.
And you also work with a lot of folks with trauma.
Yes.
So you do EMDR, you have all kinds of things that you've been trained to do.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think being trauma informed is an absolute necessity because trauma is in our bodies, right. And mm-hmm. we can do all these other things, mm-hmm. But the body's still not going to heal.
Right.
And so the EMDR is a great tool to use, and a lot of times when we start seeing improvement in the mind, we see improvement in the body. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're one of the only cultures in the United States that thinks of mind, body, and spirit as separate things. We're going to work on it. And it's like every other culture, mm-hmm. that doesn't even make sense to them. There's not even a separate word for mind body.
Right.
And for people like us that have figured out the mind, body, spirit is all connected. And that's why it also, if somebody is more interested in working on some soul stuff, it's great. I mean, it's not like we're not working on mind, body.
Right.
When we're working on spirit stuff. But when I was in grad school, we stayed so far away from anything energy. It was like woo, woo, woo. And anything having to do with soul, spirit was just not.
No, even I think we briefly had a spirituality class.
Oh, you did? I didn't.
Well, not in my curriculum, but it came and went.
It came and went, yeah.
But for some of the students, I never had the opportunity to teach it. But
where we teach? Yes, I think there was.
But basically, we don't get that unless you're in a seminary school or something of that nature,
right?
Because it's just not
part of. But what I found is that in my own healing, that was a piece. It was an important part.
Yes.
And in my work with other people, it's often, we talk about trauma as this piercing of the heart, and so much. I was all about the brain. I loved learning about the brain, and the brain is an important organ. But so much is heart. I find that so much of it is heart work.
I agree. I totally agree. And if we can soften this, the brain will calm.
Yeah.
The body will calm. It's just such a domino effect. And
yes, I agree.
It can be difficult, I think, at times when clients come in and they're very rigid.
Yes.
That they don't want medications. They don't want to talk about anything spiritually.
Okay.
They don't want to talk about their past.
Right. Can't possibly be anything that's ever happened.
No, my childhood, I had a great childhood. It had nothing to do with what's going on with the fact that I've been in 5 relationships in 5 years. Things of that nature. They don't connect the dots.
Right.
And so sometimes I tell my supervisees, we have to find a way to go through the back door.
I say that. I'm like, we got to go all the way around the barn.
That's right.
You see the front door?
Right.
Doesn't matter. We're going all the way around.
And don't dare tell them.
Here's the door. No. Or even that we're going around the barn.
No, because then they shut down.
You're right. It's scary.
It is.
I mean, we are going to an unknown.
Yes. Or even if it's a known, their current coping skill, even if it's painful, they know it.
Right. And
they're I don't say comfortable, but it's familiar.
Yes.
And the idea of taking that away from them or changing it it's hard.
Yes.
It's really, really hard.
Yeah. It's a messy business, but it's a great business.
I know, I love it.
I know. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. And I think what I found is the cleaner and clearer I get, the more it comes to me to help people.
Yes.
Stuff that I wouldn't have normally do
yes.
or think to do just sort of comes to you and it's at the right time, and that's so helpful.
Well, I believe we all have intuition. And I definitely would agree that the clearer I am, mentally,
emotionally, physically,
all of those,
all of that.
The more intuitive I am.
Yes.
And I say we have to listen to it and learn to trust it. The more we listen and trust it, the stronger it will become.
Right.
And so when something comes to me that sometimes it doesn't really make sense, but I'll find a way to kind of bring it into the conversation, and it's amazing. The clients goes, "Oh my gosh!"
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Good. Yeah.
Thanks
Okay.
for that help, universe.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah. So that's fun when things have that serendipity and everything aligns, and it's
very much so. And I think even being open to different ways of being spiritual is another alternative, if we want to call it that, way of helping people. Because people can get turned off by religion, and people can get turned off by words associated with religion, or even spirituality sometimes. And so I think we have to find ways to help them
figure out what that means to them and what
Yes.
words make sense. And sometimes we just have to sit with people until we can figure out how to help them as we move around the barn, or we
absolutely
past the front door to go wherever we're going. But I agree with you. And even I used to be sort of turned off by certain I still, sometimes when people say certain words, I'm like, oh.
Yes.
And I have to remind myself that I don't actually know what they're, I can soften a second and hear what they're saying. Because I have a lot of preconceived ideas when certain words are used.
Same here. I had to do my own healing around my own religious upbringing.
Right.
And figure that out for who I am now.
Right.
And now I'm very open to tell me what's meaningful to you.
Exactly.
And I don't mind saying, I don't understand.
Yeah. Help me understand that.
What now? Explain that again. And just by being more confident in who we are, helps us be able to be understanding and find meaning in what's meaningful to other people.
Right. And some of my own meaning has come in some very mysterious ways. So I have when it's coming, if it's whatever somebody says, is really not that surprising to me. I'm like, okay.
Right.
But everyone's on their own wellness journey.
Yes.
And I think the word wellness gets misused quite a bit, and people think of, health and beauty.
Fitness.
And I've always been interested in health and fitness, but to me, wellness is this inside job and in a practice, and it's a do you have words to describe?
Resiliency comes to mind.
Right.
And
courage, resilience.
Yes, those exactly. I was thinking courage, and one of the things we've done in the practice just recently is your word. What's your word?
What's your word?
Things like that. And my clients, it's funny how my clients will come in, I don't have to ask, they just say, I've decided what my word is this year. I'm like, great, what is it? And one of them was healing. And she said, I know it sounds hokey, and I'm like, why? What's hokey about that?
Right.
And, for her, it was very deep for her.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I think we all have to figure out where we are. And what do we need? And sometimes it is healing, but sometimes it's rejuvenation. Okay. And sometimes, it can be education too.
True.
I think we just have to figure out where we are on our path, and our path does change.
Yep. Boy, doesn't it?
Yes. I look back and when I was a student, and it's been quite a ride. And just what is it they say? Just go ahead and make a plan. Make a plan. Let the universe help you with that.
Right.
Because it does. Very much so, because totally what I thought was going to be my path has turned out not to be my path. But I really like this one.
Right. What I was thinking was much more limited than even the expansiveness. So even the messy parts have been certainly worth it.
And I think another part, a huge part of bringing wellness into counseling is networking.
Yeah. Well, I'm all into networking.
But if you don't know who to refer people to, then you don't, this is a great thing to do, but I don't know anybody that does it.
Right.
So one thing I've done in our community here is get to know different practitioners. There's a gentleman who owns a supplement store here. Oh yeah, I know you like. You like him a lot. I do. He's fabulous. And so I say, hey, if you've got this going on, then you need some help, and you said you didn't want to go on anything prescription, are you willing to go with something more natural? And when they give me that green light, I'm like, okay, you got to go see this person, because he knows. I mean, I know a lot about them, but I know what works for me.
Right.
I'm not certified in that.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing too, as wellness counselors, we have to stay in our lane and know our limitations. Just like we say that about other modalities.
Right. I wouldn't go in and start doing EMDR just because I've seen somebody move their fingers.
Right.
Like that's not how. That's not ethical. That's not safe. Right. So it would be the same thing of, supplements or oils or people.
Right.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of training and research.
So I really try hard to keep a list of people who do different modalities, different things, and teaching the wellness class.
Yeah.
One of the great things I like to do, the students really seem to like it, is bring in practitioners who actually do.
They do love that.
Yes. And I brought in a deep tissue massage therapist, and it was fun to watch the students who had no idea that there was something like that and didn't understand the medical benefits of that versus
just feeling good.
Relaxing.
Right.
They couldn't take it past relaxation really.
Right.
And so that was very interesting. I brought in someone who is an essential oils expert. I brought in a person who did a type of chiropractic I didn't even know about. And so it was really good. One person couldn't do it, so referred me to somebody else who referred me, and now I've got I've got 5 more people on my list who do things that I had to learn about too.
Yeah.
And so that
I do love that about teaching what I love about the wellness course. I don't know if you found the same thing, but watching people open up to it, I had no idea.
Yes.
And so even small things, like I bring in the meditation cushions, and so people would look at them and say, "What is that?" Like, it's a meditation cushion. Come see how this works. You don't have to use it. You don't have to like it, but at least when you see one,
right?
And just these different, everybody thinks meditation is supposed to be this hour-long sitting, and they don't realize that it can be super simple.
Exactly.
And a part of your daily life and the breath work. I mean, just all these little things that change their lives.
Yes.
And it's fun to watch.
Yes. Well, I bring my diffuser.
Yes, me too.
And I crank the oils up right away. And I love it the first day of class to have the oils going and the very relaxing music playing. And they walk in and they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, just if you would just have a seat and center yourself in the room, and they're of course like, "What?" They're pulling out their laptops or their books, and I'm like, "No, there'll be plenty of time for that, but for right now, just bring yourself in the room." And so usually when they all arrive, then I'll do just a quick breathing. Let's all take a deep breath. Leave traffic outside.
Yes, exactly. That's what I always do.
Whatever happened at work today, let that stay there. And I use my calming voice. And then they're like, "Wow, we've never had that before." And I'm like, "Well, how do you feel?" And they're like, "Well, when I first got here, I was really tense, or I was stressed, and now I feel really good." And I'm like, "Yeah, look how quick that happened."
Right.
And that's a great intro into how would you like to feel like this at the snap of your own finger, or teach other people how to do this.
Right. And I started doing it every class because, the anxiety level has been so high. And even the last few years, I noticed I couldn't start teaching because they're so full.
Yes.
You can't put anything new in. No. So it didn't matter what class I was teaching. I was like, let's just take a second. And I think at first, these are the things that were helping me. And so even when I was nervous to lead a meditation, I hadn't done that. Something in me was like, you're not going to be able to teach them anything about couples and family stuff. They need to just get here and dump some things out so that you can put some new in.
True. Especially that first class, it seems like they walk in and their test anxiety is already high.
the discussion board and
all the online part is not. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, just
that's okay.
Let's just settle in and get to know each other first, and and they struggle.
Yes.
But I think that's also an indication of where our society is right now.
I know. And so to be able to offer that even for a few minutes to anyone is really nice.
Yes.
And I've also, noticed, I was a little worried too that they're paying money to come to grad school. And I was like, on my evaluations, people are going to say she makes us free. But those are the evaluations. That's what they love more than anything else that they learn in the class.
Yes.
And I thought, okay.
I agree. And I think going back to what you said earlier about keeping ourselves clear and all that, I think it brings a level of authenticity.
Yes, I agree.
That word was so foreign to me.
Right.
As
authentic, of course I'm authentic.
Yeah,
what?
Of course, yeah. Well, I was so not. And, that took a long time for me to really figure me out. But, and when I see that on my evaluations that she's authentic, I think, yes, I got it. I did it for me, and I can show them what that looks like.
Yes.
And I think they learn easier, and I think more goes in.
100% agree.
When they feel when they feel safe in the room, it is no different
than in here. And then to have that experience, to me, there's nothing more important as a future counselor than to feel the experience of when something is safer.
Yes.
And when I teach trauma, I'm really all about the room being safe and having the oil. I've got the diffuser going and the music, because we're going to talk about really hard stuff. And what I noticed when I was in another wonderful professor's class, she's wonderful, but she was talking and their faces are just, they were so glazed over, and I was like, I think we're traumatizing them.
Yes.
Some of their own trauma. Yeah, I think we need to back up a minute and get them present. And so,
well, and I think we have to be patient with ourselves and with our clients. And my clinical supervisor was constantly telling me, Kim, you're not going to fix them in 6 sessions. You got to just sit with this. And the first client I had who was depressed for a very long time. Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to, I thought I was going to fall apart because I couldn't get her to move in any direction.
Right. There didn't seem to be any progress or whatever
No.
that might look
and
like.
she was med resistant too.
Yeah.
This was early in my career, and she kept saying, Kim, you got to sit with it. And I kept saying, but it was my stuff.
Right.
Coming up.
Right.
And so, I stay in therapy.
Of course. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I'll run you over on therapy day. I'm like, bye. Gotta get to therapy.
Gotta go. Because, and it was my stuff, and so I took that to therapy. What have I got to do?
Yeah. What's the mirror here?
And so I learned, she taught me some very valuable lessons.
Yeah.
And I learned to sit and be patient.
Yes.
With her, which translated into being patient with other clients. And
patient with yourself.
Yes. And it's okay to not see progress.
Right. And when you're early on, though, you think there's somewhere to go.
Yeah, there's a destination.
Yeah. And, just take some time to realize there's nowhere to get, that it's all part of the process. I think the hardest thing for me still is the mirror piece, like what's bothering me, or if I don't like something, is to say, okay, I wouldn't even recognize it. It wouldn't even be on my radar if it wasn't in me.
Right.
Asking to be seen, asking for some help here. That's a kicker.
Well, and I think too, it's easy for us to see what would help someone. Like, I see trauma, I think EMDR.
Right.
They think, or they look at that light bar and go, no. it freaks them out, and that's
Yeah.
okay. So we just talk and we sit with it until they're ready to do something different or not. And for some of them, they just never are.
Right.
And I've learned to be okay with that.
So, and if they're not, you know, if they never get to the light bar or curious about the light bar, that's okay.
That is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we breathe, we learn to breathe.
Yes.
And breathing does seem to be a very easy tool.
Yep.
It's safe.
Yep.
You can teach
We're
them.
doing it anyway.
Yes.
So
And they
to
can do it
more
driving down the road.
Yes. I love that.
That's
Like,
right.
why are you driving? And you're in Atlanta traffic anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and if they can feel a shift in their body,
Yes.
it's like a light bulb goes off sometimes.
Yes.
And so you can springboard off that sometimes.
Yes.
Or even I had a client come in one day, coughing. I put in an oil that's specific for that. And I just kind of got up and quietly did it. I really didn't say anything. And within about 15 minutes, the coughing stopped. So that evening, she sent me a text and said, "Hey, what did you put in that diffuser? Because I haven't coughed since I left your office today." And I'm like, "Oh, would you like some information? Here's a person who can tell you all about it. And this is what I used, and I'm glad that it worked." And so that made her more open to
or curious. Yeah, when
Curious.
something works
Curious.
for you, you're
Curious.
like, wait, what was that? What was that voodoo you had earlier? I want to find out about that. Yeah.
Or if they're having a severe anxiety attack or panic attack, I'll put some lavender on a tissue for them just to kind of help them. And again, they're like, wow, okay, breathing and this.
Yeah. And that's what I find amazing too, is the more simple, the more helpful. Just the breath, just the scent can make a huge, and people, I think there needs to be some earthquake movement.
Right.
But the earthquake movements internally happen with just these simple, it tends to be very simple.
No, I agree. I think so.
Well, I love talking to you. Is there anything else that you want to share, talk about?
So something else I do,
Yes.
just to keep the energy in the room good, is I use kosher salt.
Nice.
You get it at the grocery store, the old rock salt kind of stuff. And salt helps absorb negative energy.
Good.
So especially after a client who has a lot, or if I'm feeling particularly challenged, I change it out, put fresh in on a regular basis. I also like to draw in nature. And I love having my bird feeder. I've never had an office before that actually had a window I could put a feeder in.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that.
It's great. And the birds, it's like learning about humans almost, because they come at certain times on a regular, and then which ones come during what seasons. And, some birds mate for life, some of them. And so it's really funny because there's a couple, it's a set of cardinals. And the male comes and he will sit out there, and then he will come to the feeder. It's like he's checking things out to make sure it's all safe. And then he leaves, and here comes the female. And then he hangs around until she's done. And then they both leave.
Nice.
So it's fun. But it's also fun because clients really pay more attention to the birds than I thought. I did it because I like birds.
Right.
But what I'm finding is the clients are attached to what type of birds come. And it represents people in their life, people they've lost maybe, and they get a sense of comfort from that. So
has a lot of meaning for them too.
Yes.
I love that. I've never been in a private practice where I've seen a bird feeder right out the window.
And it's amazing because even though the highway is really close, the hedgehog that came, that was really special. And
he was peeking in.
And so I do believe that animals come when we need them. And so I use my animal speak to go back, and if something unusual particularly shows up, I'll go back and read about what the meaning of the animal is, and maybe a lot of times it resonates. Well, for example, a couple of weeks ago, one of my APCs had lizards all in her office. I forgot now what the meaning was, but we looked it up, and she was like, "Oh,
That makes
perfect
sense.
So I said, okay, so fix that and they'll go away. And she did, and they did. So it was good.
I love that. I do that all the time.
Yeah. So again, we're all connected. All.
I know.
Yeah.
I get it. That is really fun. Thank you.
Well, but no, I think we've covered a lot of good things, and hopefully enough that will make someone curious, right?
Right. And if people are curious, we're going to put your website and how to get in touch with you, and they know how to get in touch with me, and and that way,
That's good.
And that's why we're putting these out here too, so that people can get curious, and see what might work for them, what resonates with them, and that I think one of the biggest things is that transformation is possible for anyone that I've seen, and I think you would probably see.
Oh, absolutely, and I think transformation is unique to each individual. They have to find what works for them.
Yes.
And we have to be open to whatever that is,
looks like.
And go with it.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Bye.
Bye.